First thing we will be talking about in this chapter is carbohydrates, which are sugars, starches, and fibers found in fruits, grains, vegetables, and milk products. They are broken down into glucose to serve as primary source of energy for all body processes. When it comes to carbohydrates, there are complex carbohydrates, which include grains, fruits, and vegetables, and there are also simple carbohydrates, which include sugary snacks, soda, and processed foods. When it comes to the excessive side of carbohydrates, it could cause obesity, diabetes mellitus, nutritional defects, and gastrointestinal irritation. On the deficiency side, it can cause tissue wasting and extreme deprivation, and metabolic acidosis resulting from accelerated fat use for energy. Next, we have proteins, which are long chains of amino acids used by the body in numerous ways. And some of these ways are provide structural support and maintain bodily tissues, and serve as enzymes and antibodies throughout the entire body. Proteins also have functions, and some of these functions include cell signaling, enzymes, mechanical functions, cytoskeleton, membrane transport, cytosol adhesion, cell cycling, and immune response. In this illustration, it shows a primary protein structure, a sequence of a chain of amino acids. Proteins hormonal control. Some anabolic hormones accelerate protein synthesis, such as in tissue growth during childhood and growth spurts during adolescence, while other hormones enhance protein breakdown during times of stress. When it comes to protein deficiency, it can cause profound weight loss and tissue wasting, anemia, edema, which is due to deficit of plasma proteins, and also during pregnancy, it could cause a miscarriage or premature birth. And on the excessive side, it can cause obesity, enhanced calcium excretion and bone loss, high cholesterol levels in blood, and also can cause kidney stones. With protein, there is also nitrogen balance, which is the rate of protein synthesis is equal to the rate of protein breakdown. With a positive nitrogen balance, it is the amount of protein incorporated into tissue is greater than the amount of being broken down and used for energy. And this occurs during pregnancy and growing children, following illness, or tissue repair. And with negative nitrogen balance, proteins breakdown exceeds amount incorporated into tissue. And this can occur during physical and emotional stress or poor dietary protein, as well as in starvation. There is also all or none, which is all amino acids must be present in a cell at the same time in order to be considered complete, and in order for specific proteins to be synthesized. With complete proteins, high quality animal products, all essential amino acids present in proportions needed, and they could be found in meat, eggs, poultry, milk, yogurt, and soy. For incomplete proteins, lack one or more amino acids, cannot build tissue without help, and they could be found in dried beans, peas, grains, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Lipids. They provide energy for muscles and body processes. Major nervous system component, myelin sheath. Phospholipid bilayer make up every cell membrane in the body. Basic building block for several hormones and bile acids. Adipose tissue provide protective cushion for major body organs. Insulation under skin, and they also help absorb fat-soluble vitamins, which are A, D, E, and K. Lipids dietary sources. Saturated include animal products, coconut, and margarine. Unsaturated include seeds, nuts, vegetable oil, and olive oil. An excessive amount of lipids can cause obesity and increased risk of cardiovascular disease. On the deficiency side, it causes fat stores and tissue proteins catabolized to provide metabolic energy, and also problems controlling heat loss, lack of subcutaneous fat, and can also cause poor growth. Minerals make up small percentage of overall body by weight. Most ionize in body fluid or bound to organic compounds to form phospholipids, hormones, and other proteins. The moderate amounts of minerals include sodium, potassium, calcium, chlorine, magnesium, and sulfate. And they trace iron, iodine, manganese, zinc, copper, cobalt, fluorine, selenium, and chromium. Vitamins. They are crucial in helping body utilize nutrients, serve as coenzymes or enzymes to make carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids useful. Most vitamins are not made in our bodies but are found in all major food groups. Water soluble. B and C vitamins are absorbed along with water from the gastrointestinal tract, except B12, which must bind to intrinsic factor for absorption. And the lipid soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K all bind to ingested lipids. Metabolism. Biochemical reactions during which substances are built up and broken down. Catabolism, which requires energy, breaking down material or nutrients. Proteins turn into amino acids. Proteins turn into glucose. Glycogen also turns into glucose. Triglycerides turn into fatty acids. For anabolism, it is the releasing of energy, builds materials to generate energy, amino acids turn into proteins, glucose turns into glycogen, and fatty acids turn into triglycerides. There's also ATP synthesis, substrate level phosphorylation, which is high energy phosphate group taken directly from a substrate to ADP to ATP. And this occurs in cytosol of mitochondrial matrix. There's also oxidative phosphorylation, which use electron phosphate chain to make ATP. And this occurs only in the mitochondrial matrix. Lipid metabolism, breaking down of lipids. Oxidation of glycerol and fatty acids converts fatty acid to acetyl CoA. Lipogenesis occurs when cellular ATP and glucose levels are too high. Glycerol and fatty acids from dietary fats are not immediately needed for energy and are recombined into triglycerides and stored. About 50% ends up in subcutaneous tissue, and the remainder is stored into various fat deposits throughout the body. And with lipolysis, breaking down lipids, fatty acids, and glycerol are released into the blood, allowing access of fat fuels to organs. Fatty acids are the preferred fuel for liver, cardiac muscle, and resting skeletal muscle. Protein metabolism. Amino acids are broken down via transamination. Transamination, the transfer of amine group. Oxidative deamination removes a neem group. Protein synthesis takes place in the liver. Next, we have carbohydrate metabolism. Sugar glucose into ATP. One glucose molecule in the presence of oxygen equals 32 ATP. Carbohydrate metabolism includes glycogenolysis, which occurs when blood glucose levels drop, and it is the process by which glycogen is broken down to release glucose in the blood. It also includes glycogenesis. Glucose molecules are combined in long chains to form glycogen, carbohydrate storage product. Glycogenesis occurs when glucose supplies exceed demand for ATP. Gluconeogenesis occurs when not enough glucose is available. Glycolysis occurs in cytosol cells. An electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation occurs on cristae of mitochondrion. And then also has the Krebs cycle, which is citric acid cycle. Occurs in mitochondrial matrix fueled by pyruvic acid produced during glycolysis. Last, we have metabolic functions of the liver. The metabolic function of the liver bears major responsibility of fat metabolism, primary body site of beta oxidation, and also forms lipoproteins for transport of fatty acids, fats, cholesterol to and from tissue. It also has a part in protein metabolism, which is essential for production of clotting proteins and ammonia disposal. It eliminates amino acids, forms urea for removal of ammonia from the body, and also forms most plasma proteins. Then there's carbohydrate metabolism, which is crucial in maintaining blood glucose levels, and it converts galactose and fructose to glucose. It's a glucose buffer function. It deals with glycogenesis and also converts glucose to fats for storage. It also deals with vitamin and mineral storage. Stores vitamin A, stores sizable amounts of vitamins D and B12, and also stores Fe. Other than Fe bound to hemoglobin, most of the body supply is stored in liver as ferritin until needed. The last thing that we'll be talking about that the metabolic function of the liver deals with is biotransformation functions. It metabolizes alcohol and drugs by performing synthetic reactions yielding inactive products for excretion. Also processes bilirubin resulting from red blood cell breakdown and excretes bile pigments in bile. And also metabolizes blood-borne hormones to form that can be excreted in urine.